surprise shone light from distant northern skies. At that point, I realized I don't know where it comes from, but I know it's okay. This is all an illusion, and I'm willing to play.
Welcome to the Quantum Guide Show, interviews with awakened masters as they share their quantum work with you. The Quantum Guide Show is produced by Karen Holton, creator of the 9 Steps to Quantum Health Transformation, a free 9-step online course to give you the tips and resources you need to thrive. Karen lost and continues to keep off 178 pounds of surplus body weight as she made her dreams come true. Whether you are awakening to the ascension process or simply want a wiser, more efficient lifestyle, this program is for you. No strings attached. The Quantum Guide Show is brought to you in part by Zendome's Orgonite, Karen's unique brand of orgone generators, ethically sourced, handmade, and double charged for maximum effect. Find out how orgone generators work and what they can do for you. Don't be fooled by imitations. Check out Karen's current selection, only available from her website, KarenHoltonHealthCoach.com, and on Facebook, facebook.com/Quantum Health Transformation. Enjoy the show.
Welcome back to the Quantum Guide Show. Today in episode 67, our returning guest is Leigh Ann Clark from Atlanta, and we're going to talk about accessing the Akashic Records. But first, let me tell you a little bit about Leigh Ann. Leigh Ann Clark has been an advanced certified practitioner of Akashic Records for 10 years. After beginning to study to be an Akashic Records practitioner, the Crystal Kingdom began to show up during her own personal Akashic Records readings, and for her clients as well. That's where her affinity for crystals began. It was a subtle start that led Leigh Ann to create an Introduction to Healing Crystals workshop in the Atlanta, Georgia, and Knoxville, Tennessee areas for the past 6 years. And she has offered crystal assessments and crystal gridding services for about the same time. A crystal gridding workshop is in the works. Leigh Ann's spiritual business is called The Crystal Architect, named for her love of the crystals, the love that the crystals have for us, and for the light that is added to the crystalline grid every time the Akashic Records are accessed. Healing occurs in every Akashic Record session. The Akashic Records and the Crystal Kingdom flow well together as both realms support and create the best life for you, present information to you, answer questions you may have, and do so in the most loving ways, connecting you to your higher self and to Mother Gaia energies. With great pleasure, I am happy to welcome back Leigh Ann, and also welcome everybody to the Quantum Guide Show. Leigh Ann, how are you doing today?
Hi, Karen. It's nice to be back. I'm doing very well. It's nice to see you again. Yeah, springtime is here. I'm enjoying the nicer, warmer weather, and I don't have any complaints.
Oh, that's good, because you know what? I find no one wants to hear it anyway. So
No.
It's best. But anyway, yes, it's very good to see you. And I'm really excited to have you back to talk more about the Akashic Records. And just for the viewers, so you know, I had an Akashic Records session with Leigh Ann, and it was amazing. It was, I would say, a very gentle form, a very gentle modality for healing. But I was wondering if we could start off with Leigh Ann. Can you tell us, how did you get started in all this? What was your path that led you to the Akashic Records and to becoming a practitioner?
Okay, so my start to the Akashic Records was actually, I was in another class learning how to do energy healing which is what I really, really, really wanted to do and what I thought I saw myself doing. And this particular teacher I was with, she would hold classes where she would let you experiment with it, but she would also do healings on the people in the group that would come to this day. Well, some of the ladies, we always came to the same sessions, and we took the classes together. One of the ladies asked me, I've been doing a lot of work to become an Akashic Record practitioner and teacher, and I've got some things I have to do to meet my goals before I get my certification. And she said, it has come very apparent to me who my tribe is, and you were part of my tribe. And she said, do you want to learn how to read the Akashic Records? I was like, well, okay, sure. And that was pretty much it. Like, okay, I don't know what this is, but why not say yes? We'll find out. So she started with a book study, and she found a book by Linda Howell, who has an Akashic Record program. And so we started reading the book, and then we learned how to open the opening prayer. We went through the whole book and how to open and close the records. What does it mean to be in it? And then exercises within the Akashic Records. It was a very slow start. I mean, just really slow. It just seemed to be coming through really spotty. And that's how it was for probably a year and a half, 2 years. And it was kind of frustrating, but that's how it started. And about the same time, I started getting interested in crystals. And those two kind of went side by side. So I started buying a lot of crystals. I was doing some workshops with the lady who got me into this. And so I would do the crystal part, she would do the Akashic Record part. And then we would read about the crystal kingdom within the Akashic Records. So it actually gave me something to focus on. And instead of just this broad, what do I ask? Who will someone volunteer? It was, okay, something I can focus on and ask questions about. And so I got certified through the Linda Howe program, which was an opening prayer. And then I've since gone through 2 other programs, which is just a different way to open the Akashic Records, access them. But once you're in it, it's the same process once you're there, or you develop your own process, So that was around 2012, 2013 that all of that started. And then like you said, like you'd already covered in my introduction, then I started teaching an introduction to healing crystals class. And the next class that I want to do is the crystal gridding class. And I would say I probably got less than half of it written or in my mind of how it would be done, but I'm working on it.
Wonderful, wonderful. Yes. For those that aren't familiar with the Akashic Records, do you want to tell the viewers what exactly are the Akashic Records?
Yes, the Akashic Records hold a record of everything that was ever thought, said, or done, past, present, and future. What was ever was and will ever be. So it encompasses everything. If you ever had a thought about, should I open a business or not? Well, that already exists there. So you can read on that to see if that's indeed a good thing for you to do or not. You can read for the Statue of Liberty. You can read for your property. You can read for your house. You can read on anything. Of course, you can read for people, groups of people, businesses, all kinds of things. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. I love the Akashic Records. I am, pardon me, I haven't taken any training, but I do occasionally end up there, and it's a pretty amazing thing, and it's all there, and I think maybe that's part of the going inside for our personal truths and for information, because I'm guessing that's where it comes from. But I know I've never been disappointed if I ask and I sincerely want to know how to do something better, or where I'm going wrong or whatever. But I only can take it so far, and so I was really happy that I had a session with you. And it was funny because the timing for the session, when you reached out to me to see if I was still interested was around the time that I was definitely ready to get started. And then I left it with you because you had to, wait for those windows of opportunity to best do what you do. And then we ended up coming together and it was just perfect. But I started feeling a shift even a few weeks before we met. And I'm weird that way. If I'm going to go and get some kind of treatment or alternative healing modality, I often start feeling the results before I actually have the treatment. And it's again, I think, illustrating that time is not linear. Time is, for me, it's a slippery slope. I lose time all the time, but things don't always go in the linear way that we're taught that time goes. And then when we try to tell other people about it, we often get made fun of or gaslit. But anyway, I was so amazed when we had our session. It was a very gentle process. There was nothing startling or nothing, that it was upsetting in any way. It was very affirming. I enjoyed it very, very much. And I was so happy to get the information that I was seeking. And right on the money. You were absolutely right on the money. And if you don't mind me telling the viewers, I actually have had growth in my spiritual growth and my health and in other aspects of my life has actually steadily improved since we had that session together. And, I've had all kinds of other alternative healing modalities that I've tried. And, there's body talk and there's all kinds of things that reach out into the woo-woo and into our higher selves. But nothing has worked as gently and consistently as the reading I got from you. And I went and printed out, Leigh Ann also, sorry for taking over the show. I'm sure you want to tell people. But, Leigh Ann does this wonderful detailed write-up afterwards that she sends to you. So when I got mine, what I did was I printed it out and I put it in a duotang. And I stuck it in my in a kind of a folder. And I had another friend of mine do my birth chart, Dave Petrella. He's been on the show before. He's a pretty amazing intuitive astrologist. And what was funny too is I was kind of comparing them, and I was amazed at how synchronous the two were.
Wow.
It was like being told the same information two different ways. But anyway, I'm a happy camper, and I'm so glad you came back on so that you could talk about this, and we can tell people because it's amazing. It's just amazing. Anyway, I'm still can't believe how effective my session with you really has been, and what a difference it's made in my life. And I'm really enjoying having more energy and getting more things done that I wanted to get done. And I just really want to thank you, Leigh Ann. Do you want to tell the folks a bit about your process? If someone contacts you and says, Leigh Ann, can you help me? I've got an issue or a question.
Absolutely. One thing I will say is when you were saying time's not linear, when you were talking about when you schedule something and then it's like you already start to heal, or that's how I would see it. One of my instructors said, like I told her, I said, it's almost like I'm so excited leading up to an appointment, some kind of healing treatment. And she was like, I find a lot of times people are already healing before we get to the session. So that's what I was thinking when you said that. But I love what you said about it shows you that time is not linear, because I didn't think of it that way, but that's absolutely another way to think about it. Onto the way I do my, what is my process? So when somebody contacts me and we figure out a couple of times, work out the time zones, because I have worked with people all over the world and there's not a time I can't work with. So first thing is, I usually let a couple of days pass when they ask for an appointment, because like I have to be in that frame of mind and be ready to do it. But so when I make the appointment with them, I do ask for a couple of pieces of information from them, which is their name, their birth name, if it's different, the birth date, and where they were born. And with that information, before our session, our scheduled session appointment, I go into the person's Akashic Records and I see what comes through, what information, what messages are already there. And then I usually go into the person's Akashic Records maybe twice before we have our shared session. And then in the session, I give all that information. And then the most of the time is spent with the client actively talking and asking questions live, if you will, more questions that they have that they've come forth with. And I don't ever need to know what people's questions are before they come to me. And it's I think that's kind of fun, because how I found it ends up happening is I just say, ask anything you want, anything in the world, and it always connects together, and I can wrap a big bow on it at the end with, here's the theme, here's what it is. And it's always amazing. It really is truly amazing how that works out. So I don't worry about what somebody's going to ask. No, just come with what you want to. And I usually say 4 or 5 questions, depending on how fast we can move through them. And you know, each session is a little different because each person is a little different, or a lot different, but it always just is so much fun. And of course, not every session has crystals in it. A lot of them do, but not all of them.
Yeah, we didn't do, I don't think we got to crystals in my session. It just wasn't, it seemed like it just wasn't necessary, you know. We were doing fine, you know, without, not saying that you should or shouldn't, but so talk about, what does that look like when someone's having a session and the crystals do speak to you, or the information that you start to tap into that as well. And then I understand that sort of goes along with or supports what the Akashic, what comes through from the Akashic Records. Is that right?
Yes. So when crystals come through with me, the first thing I'll say this just broadly when talking about a session, I have certain things that I notice when I say them. It's like, this has to be said. That means I have to say it verbatim, how I'm receiving it. Yeah. And then when the crystals come through, sometimes it's, when the crystals come through, sometimes it is a crystal, but sometimes it's just a color. They want me to see a color. And so I kind of have to say, okay, I'm seeing a red crystal. Is it just any red crystal? No, it's red jasper. Okay, it's red jasper. And then it just have to, okay, all right. So no, it's your root chakra, because sometimes it's, okay, no, you need to work on the root chakra. And it's really interesting because at first that's how it all started, was crystals, colors, and chakras kind of all muddled together. And so it was, is it the crystal, or is it you need to like ground with it? You need to clear with it. What is it? And just kind of finding out your own symbols and your vocabulary when you're in the Akashic Records, or any other maybe you know, psychic reading or tarot, or learning tarot or whatever. But whatever your vocabulary is to explain what information's coming through. That's how it started. And it's that, plus sometimes it is absolutely a specific crystal or a specific shape. It has to be a specific shape. And then that's how the grids came through. Okay, so now what another thing I do in Akashic Records sessions is I do crystal readings in the Akashic Records, or crystal gridding in the Akashic Records. And those are specifically, I just specifically hone in on crystals for that person to work with, or creating the grid for them. And then what other information comes through, of course, that's shared, but it's basically focused around crystal work. And so when I do a crystal grid for someone, or any crystal information, what I ask, how this differs is with an Akashic Record session, I will ask this specific question to them. What do you want to manifest or support in your life? And then they tell me, and those are the words that I take into the Akashic Records with me. And that's an awesome start. And then I get all this information about the crystals and its shapes and the colors, and how many crystals I need to use. I mean, just, it's amazing how that works. Then I go on the internet and I look for the picture I saw in my mind, and I've always found it. And I print it off, and then that's pretty much how I start working. And then I also will think about crystals without being in the Akashic Records as well. Just what comes through, and then in the Akashic Records, and it's about an 80% match, but I always go with what the Akashic Records have designed. But it's really amazing how they really, it really flows very well, very, very well. But so then I have all the pieces for the crystal, the shape, the colors, all that. And then there's usually a mantra that goes with that. And then the grid is set up and active. And one thing I've started doing in my business now is I had a client a couple of years ago that I had thought about doing this, and I thought no one would do this. I mean, no one's interested in this, but she asked for the very thing that I had in my mind to do, which was she didn't have all the crystals that were needed for this. And so I said, how about I set it up in my space for you? I will use my crystals and I will use the design that has come through. And we talked about it and we came up with a routine of what we did. And I told her, you know what, thank you so much for letting me do this with you, because I didn't think anyone else would want to do this, but this is what I thought would be a good alternative to someone who doesn't have all these crystals. Maybe they don't want to buy all of these at one time. And so it is a little more economical. And that's what we did. And it worked out beautifully. And I actually did a free series with her like that. And it was amazing. And her feedback was amazing as well. So I'm so glad that, that was something that got to come forth. And that I said yes. And that she said yes. It was really amazing. But see, where was I? Yeah, in the crystal gridding, Akashic Records and the crystal grid setup. Yeah, but it comes with instructions, usually very specific instructions. Otherwise, I tell someone, leave a crystal grid up as long as you feel like it needs to be up. And when it's done, it's done. It's I don't think there's a very hard and fast rule on that, or I don't think so. That's not how I operate with crystals.
I'm wondering if the reason it works so well, you doing it there, not the woman not doing it herself, because there is no time and space in those other realms. In the 3D, there is time and space because, where we have this physicality and this illusion of individuality. But in all the other realms, at least in my experience, all the other realms, there is no time and space. For instance, if we want to travel through space, my ET friends and I, we don't go from point A to point B. Point A becomes point B. It's amazing how it works. So I just wondered if that's what you think about that, and so how you see it happening too.
Oh yes, absolutely. It's here, it's there, it's non-local. It doesn't matter. Let me just set it up for you here. And we would be on video together, and then I would take her pictures. It's activated. I mean, I loved it. I loved it. And because she had this particular client had things that she saw for herself that she wanted to do, I guess, in her own practice or ritual. And I was like, sure, that's great, I'll do it. And it just worked out beautifully. It was wonderful. So it can be very different, and it now brings in so many things. It's just amazing. So I'm so glad I was able to say yes and allow and just be open to what would come, not just for me, but people I'm working with. So truly amazing, truly amazing. Yeah.
Now, I'm wondering, a lot of people say that crystals do have consciousness. And in the three-dimensional, we're only seeing the three-dimensional piece of the crystal. We're not seeing how it is linked up to, other things and has other properties in other dimensions. But I'm wondering if you would agree with that, and where I've also gotten through my own contact with my higher self that crystals also are like, I don't know, for lack of a better word, they're like telephones to different angelic realms and different groups of healing. What's your take, Leigh Ann, on the possible consciousness of crystals? I
do think crystals have consciousness, absolutely. And I don't know that I've really given it much more thought than that. Honestly, not like,
That's
how do
okay.
they work? I don't know. They just work. But I do think they're like a telephone to other dimensions. Absolutely. Because some of the experiences that I have had, I mean, I'll tell you this little gem. Okay, I had been meditating for a few years. And of course, you have to be able to quiet yourself and get into your heart space to get into the Akashic Records. And this was 2018, March of 2018, the first time I meditated with a crystal. I'm not kidding. I had never done it before then. And I had a piece of selenite in one hand and a Vogel-shaped crystal, clear crystal quartz in the other. When I put the second crystal in my hand, it was like, oh, I mean, it was like, whoa, what just happened?
Yeah.
And that's how it's been ever since. Like when I touch one, it's not so, I don't get like a jolt, but it is like, oh yeah, there's something here. There's a message coming through. But it's not like that every single time. It's like that most of the time for me, but not every single time. And I have 2 journals I keep of meditation and with crystals. And it's crazy. Like the first ones were God consciousness. I got Jesus, I got angels, and I was like, wow. And then I got all this information on time travel, timelines, different lifetimes. And it was, and I had no background for this, none, absolutely none. And oh, wow. Just as a matter of fact, let me just add this in because this literally just happened, I think about 2 weeks ago. One of my first meditations, I had drawn this little, it's like this little grid. And just for the sake of trying to describe what it looks like, it's very close to the diagram of the tree of life, you know, that has the 12 points in it, or, you know, it's kind of angular shape. Yeah. I had drawn that in my journal, and it was where I was supposed to put the crystals in place in front of me. Well, I just happened to find online a copy of the Book of Knowledge, the Keys of Enoch, and I found that that drawing. I about fell out of my chair because the words on that page were the same ones I had on on my meditation. That we are creators and we create universes every day. Whoa.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
It's great.
It was a wow. Yeah. Just like, oh my gosh. Yeah. But yeah, they are, I don't want to say portals, but they are something to a device to go to other dimensions. Absolutely. I've been sitting in the middle of space. Like I'm still sitting in my chair at home, and then I'm like, whoa, no, wait, if I close my eyes, no, I'm really in the middle of space, but then I'm still here. Whoa, wow. I've had several of those too. I do think I must have seen past lives or parallel lives. I don't know which. Well, actually, I asked, is it parallel lives or concurrent lifetimes? And the answer I got was, you can call it whichever one you like, but we call them concurrent. You can call it what you want. I'm like, okay. So anyways, amazing, just really amazing. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, the other thing is, I mean, I'm not that learned as far as different religious texts and stuff, but I have read the Bible, and what always impressed me is the high priest in Israel had a breastplate with the crystals on it, and he was able to do all kinds of things that the regular people couldn't do, not to mention access God directly. And so I thought, you know, they wouldn't have done that if there wasn't a powerful reason. And then you look at the pyramids, they're made out of quartz. Those are crystals, you know? And the more I get into megalithic, you know, information about ancient megalithic sites, the more I realize the crystals have been our companions for a very, very, very long time. And isn't it interesting that the construct that we live in, you know, the social, political, whatever, kind of makes fun of us, you know, all the people that go a bit, not crazy, but, you know, a bit enthusiastic about crystals. And once you start collecting them and stuff, it's really hard stop. And then there's another whole movement where sometimes people will leave crystals on a bus bench or in a park or different places, and you come along and you know that crystal you need, right? Other times you take a crystal and you just leave it someplace. And I actually believe that that's affecting the timeline in a positive way as well. So, I'm pretty nuts about, well, as you know, I'm pretty nuts about crystals and orgone generators, but it's great to be able to talk about this stuff. Now, I'm wondering if any of the viewers want to do their own home gridding. What process would you recommend? How would they know what crystals to choose, what shapes to put them in? Do you have any advice on any of that, Leigh Ann?
I do. I will first say this. Here's the basic advice if you want to start with any crystals. I would say one of two ways. One, just go at it yourself. Do it intuitively. It's a personal journey. You can't get it wrong. But some added knowledge may help it a little easier or give you a good basis. And so with me, I like reading Judy Hall and how she uses crystals, how she characterizes them. I really like her information. Another person I like is Michael Geiger. He's out of Germany. And my advice is find some books, just read, get some basic information about maybe what colors of crystals generally do what. Like pink is for heart chakra, for love, unconditional love, romantic love, healing, and just a general like well-being, a sense of well-being. Or black crystals are for grounding and protection. So it would be maybe get yourself a little basics on those and then go for it, because you're not going to be wrong. Your body knows what it needs. There are 4 different ways I teach on how you pick a crystal, and they each have a very specific meaning for why you picked them the way you chose them, how you chose them. So there is no wrong answer. There's absolutely no wrong answer. Now, as for crystal gridding, it is really this basic. Your body and one crystal, that's a grid. So if you think of it that way, you could hold two crystals, 40 crystals. You could put yourself in a circle. I mean, you could put them at your doors or put them at the corners of your house. You could put them in one room. A lot of people will grid a room. I'll tell another story just to personalize this, but to also give an example of what could work. I don't know what made me do this, but I decided I'm going to grid my living room because I was sitting on the couch. So I gridded the living room with smoky celestial quartz, not knowing much about it. Oh my gosh, I was remembering all of this nasty stuff that was said to me in my 20s. I mean, just and I just was letting it come out, and I was mad, and I was talking it out. And then I just got up and walked out of the living room into the kitchen. And I remember going, what just happened? I feel so much better that I moved out of that. And I'm like, I must have needed to release a lot of old anger. And I did. So you can just grid yourself, or grid a space, a room, your house, a property, whatever you want to do. And start with that. And then start with geometric shapes. And they don't all have to be geometric, but there's other special shapes like the golden ratio. That's not, a mirror image on itself. But yeah, you can start with that. Start very simply. It doesn't have to be complicated at all. And really none of this is complicated. My love for crystals and crystal gridding came from reading, just doing a lot of reading and looking at stuff online. And then it just became what makes sense to me. Those definitions and those processes, which most of them I really like and I think are excellent, but then adding my own special little twist to it that just works for me. And that's my own personal story. And then that's what I do and go share with other people. And, again, take what resonates, throw the rest of it away. And that's what it is, learning. It's a journey and it's fun.
It sure is. Now, if somebody wants to contact you for some help with crystal gridding, either they want you to coach them on how to set up an effective grid for a specific purpose, You know, a lot of people are worried about finances this time, you know, I was going to say this time of year, any time of year, but you know, there might be ways of bringing abundance into their lives, or a health issue, or a relationship issue, and they contact you. Would you be able to coach them so that they can set one up at home if they want? And then I guess from what you've already said, you would also be willing to grid at your place for them and hold that space as well. So do you want to talk a little bit about that, Leigh Ann?
Yeah, absolutely. I thought of just one thing I didn't really expand on earlier when I was talking about doing the crystal gridding, as it relates to a session with the Akashic Records. So when I get all that information through the Akashic Records, the crystals, the colors, the shape, then I go find the picture online. I save that image, not marked up, and then I mark one up for them. And I mean, it's detailed. You need 4 of these, 5 of those, 8 of those, 20 of those, and they're going to be in this order: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, you know. And then I write out each one, why it was chosen, what it means, how you place them first, and then if you even need to activate the grid, because there seems to be some controversy about you have to activate each crystal on that grid to one another. Sometimes it feels like you do. Sometimes it feels like you don't have to. You don't have to do it that way, but I give the instructions. And so they get a big write-up of, you know, here's your grid, here's the shape, here's the color, there's the crystals, and here's how it's put together. And I send that to them, or I do it in my own space. Yeah. And I still share all that information of why I chose the crystals I chose and the color. And absolutely, because these crystals could be used again and again. I mean, they can be very specific right now to whatever is going on, but also just for the subject matter, you could use these again. If, you know, whatever the crystals deal with, love or abundance or protection or health. Yeah.
Wonderful. You know, as you were speaking, I was thinking a little bit, you know, when I do my quantum entanglement with my orgone generators, I actually do ritual and visualization and call in energy. It's a big process. I won't get into it right now, but I have linked every crystal and every orgone generator I've ever had to each other. And then I take the ones I've already linked and include them every time I'm processing a new batch. And so every orgone generator and crystal that I have is linked to each other. Then I met a woman who was doing the same thing in the state, different, but the same. And we actually mailed each other some orgone generators and crystals so that we could use each other's process in our own. And then when she sends out her stuff out into the world and I send my stuff out, it's forming a grid that encases the earth that is also positive. So it's like the only thing limiting us, I think, is our imagination or our minds or what we've been taught's possible, because there's a whole lot more to life than Walmart and McDonald's and you know, and worrying about money. There's when we can pull our head out of all of that stuff that the construct uses to weigh us down. Oh my goodness, what an amazing, magical reality we can have. And that's another reason why I'm really excited to have you on the program, is to show people what you do. You know, I mean, we weren't born knowing all this. We developed it, but that's the part that's not being developed in who we are in the construct. It isn't until we take a walk on the wild side, step outside of the box, and find out what other people are doing. So I'm really, really excited about the work that you're doing. And we got a few more minutes. I'm just wondering, what would you like to say to people on how to contact you, and what have you got going on these days? And I don't know, whatever. I want to just give the floor to you so that you can talk about what you want to talk about, because I've kind of been in
Thank
there.
you. I agree with everything you just said. When you were talking about connecting your organites and the quantum entanglement, sorry. I'm thinking multidimensional. But I mean, the first thing I thought was, wow. I mean, yeah, all of those are connected to the grid, and then we're all connected to the grid. And one of the two things that have stuck with me in the last 2 years of this What if the hardest thing was realizing how easy it is?
Mm-hmm.
And that just blew it open for me. Like, yeah, there it is. But that's the hardest thing, to get to that point where you can say, oh, it was just that easy all this time, huh? But we're not taught that. Like you said, we don't, if that's a hard thing to learn, but once you grasp it, oh wow, it just, everything's a lot easier. And then what was the other one I was going to say? The answer is there before you ask the question, because we're all connected. So that's what I was thinking of when you talk about your organite. It's already connected. So that's wonderful. It's already doing the work. It's already been doing the work. And there's more and more added to that. That's amazing. How people can reach me is I am on Facebook at The Crystal Architect, and I'm on Instagram as Architect the Crystal. And my Gmail is thecrystalarchitect@gmail.com, which you can find on the Facebook and the Instagram profiles if you want to go there. And yes, I've got availability. I am so happy to work with anyone. It's my pleasure. I enjoy it. I love helping people. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I was thinking of something else. Another thing to say, how I got started in this was even more to the testimony of, no, I wasn't born this way. This didn't come to me, just automatically. I was in the medical field and public health for many years, many years. And I like to say I came in the back door. I was reading fact-based fiction novels, and it was talking about technology that already existed, and what an eye-opener that was. And then it was just, this stuff started falling in place, and it was like, so it was still scientific. I came through the scientific route and got into the woo-woo. Wow. It was so much fun, so exciting to step into it that way. So yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. Yeah, folks, I can't recommend Leigh Ann enough. If you're not getting results in any area of your life, if there's something bothering you that you don't seem to be able to shake on your own, if you have questions about your ancestors, if you have anything at all, Leigh Ann's technique is very gentle, very kind. But wow, talk about the results. Now, another thing I just want to throw in, we got a couple minutes left, is what I'm noticing is we need less and less ritual to get things done. Now, it used to be 40 years ago, there was, if you're a pagan or Wiccan, you had to do all this ritual and set things up and use the right kind of candle and all that jazz. Mm-hmm. If you were Catholic, you had to go to church, I don't know, wear a scapula or, do certain things, go without, maybe fasting. Other spiritual persuasions, you have to study and learn all these symbols and all these sigils and all these things. Well, it seems to me, and I could be wrong, let me know what you think, Leigh Ann, but it seems like we need less and less and less of that as time goes by. There's something changing. And it's so, like what you said about, it's about as easy as falling out of bed. It's accepting that this is not a difficult thing, and it's been shrouded in mystery and arcane knowledge and hidden ritual and all this. But I think we're getting to a point where we can just make contact, exercise our intuition. And the more contact we have with each other, that's the other really neat thing, is we're gritting on another whole level. So I just wondered, what's your take on that? Because I know some people need ritual to kind of start the energy flowing for what they want. But I myself have found that I don't need hardly any ritual at all. I mean, I do gritting, don't get me wrong, but I don't really consider that ritual. What's your take on it, Leigh Ann?
Yeah, I agree with you. Because I'll just say, from just what I'm noticing about myself, I used to put some candles around. I love candles. I've always loved candles. Mm-hmm. So I'd have some candles for a low light feeling, and then I'd have my crystals, and I've gotten where I don't want the crystals in front of me. I don't want the candles. Like, nope, I don't want any of it right now. And it's almost I mean, there's nothing wrong with having a ritual, having a process, because I did, and I guess there's some things I still do, but it's almost like it's two things. One, I don't feel like I need it. And the other thing is, depending on where that information came from, maybe you don't want to do that ritual. If you keep, I mean, just again, some basics, some guidelines, and then you keep what resonates that you like and makes sense to you and you enjoy, and the rest, see if you don't need to do it, then don't do it. But yeah, things are even becoming more simpler, it seems. Oh, what else? There was something else I was going to say, but yeah, I think the ritual things, they can be a crutch, and there's nothing wrong with having a crutch to start something, to learn it. And then you find, I want to do it a different way, a slightly different way. Yeah. Why not? Why not? Just try it. Be open to it. Yeah.
Oh, my phone, I have it on mute, and we just got another emergency message, and so it just did this really long buzzing. I hope you didn't have to hear it, but anyway, it kind of took me by surprise. Wow, Leigh Ann, this has been fantastic. I really am. Yeah, I'm a big fan of yours. I can't recommend you enough. It's amazing the work that you do. You've sure put a lot of peace into my life. Putting basically putting so that I could put my fears away, and I'm really appreciating the fact that I have more energy and I'm feeling better. I mean, yeah, it's springtime, but still, no, this is something else. This has gave me a peace of mind so that I could get on with my life. And I just appreciate you so very much. And folks, if you've tried, doing it on your own and you're a little bit stuck, or even if you haven't tried it on your own, you want to try, an alternative healing practitioner, which the other thing that I love about this is this also can be classified as energy healing, and energy healing does no harm. There's no harm. There's no way you can screw anything up or have a problem from this. And, and it almost sounds too good to be true, but I recommend you try it. Because Leigh Ann, I'm telling you, it's amazing what the work that you do, and I hope to have another session with you, in the near future. And like I said, I've got my little book, and I've got all my information is right there, and it's just uncanny how right on you were. Wow. Because we didn't talk about the stuff ahead of time. You didn't know what my questions were going to be, and it all flowed so beautifully together. So I guess. Oh my goodness, I don't know, I'm getting all these emergency alerts. And of course, my mind is going, what the hell are they up to now, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe you don't want to ask that question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if you get alerts on your phone, but
yeah, some.
Yeah, they're always kind of like really intense. Then you look at it and it's a big nothing burger, but better that than take cover.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I don't think anybody wants to hear that, but
no, yeah. No. So so in closing, any last minute things you want to say, Leigh Ann, before we go?
Yes, I do. I have one thing I would say to the listeners, which is this: if you think that you can't make a big change in this world, or that there is something that is too big and that you can't do, I will tell you, as you work on yourself, and the word work is not hard, finding peace, finding things that make you happy, spending time in nature, learning to ground, learning to meditate, but finding ways to be at peace, love yourself, that does the world a whole lot of good, one person at a time. And that is not anything small. That is a wonderful gift you can give yourself and the rest of the world.
Wonderful. Well said. Well, thank you again, Leigh Ann, for joining us today. Thank you to the viewers. Please like and share this video, and do visit Leigh Ann on Facebook or on Instagram, and all the links will be in the description below. And so until next week, thank you so much for joining us on the Quantum Guide Show.
Thank you. Karen. Goodbye, everyone.
Thank you for joining us for the Quantum Guide Show. Become the change you wish to see in the world. Subscribe to Karen's YouTube channel, click the like button, and share this show with your friends. Check out Karen's website at KarenHoltonHealthCoach.com. All the links are available in the description box below. Until the next time, keep up the good work.
Endlessness puts all my inner strife to rest. For time gives birth to hurriedness. It all makes sense, well, more or less. And the sages put me to their test. With heart and soul, I do my best to find the answers to my quest. I wonder and I must confess, I don't know where it comes from, but I know it's okay. If this is all in